The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk, powered by thegorillaposition.com and a proud part of the Roar Network. Presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network and now in association with IndiePW.com. We are sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you can get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast at the checkout. And in partnership with Phoenix at fnxfit.com, where you can get 15% off all your health supplements like pre- and post-workout drinks, protein powder, super greens, and more when you use promo code TBTalkPod. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TBTalkPod. And you can listen to us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcast, CastBox, Spotify, and all those other podcatchers out there. As always, I am Karl Karufel.
And I am Big Joe.
And just as it says, scrolling at the bottom there, Turnbuckle Talk, episode 173, to hell in a handbasket. My word.
Yes.
Just some technical difficulties happening today for whatever reason. Just odd little things, but it's all good. We're here. We're 15 minutes later than usual, but other than that, it's all good. Big Joe, big episode for us here today. Not any type of milestone or anything, but just quite a bit for us to talk about.
For sure, man. Another week has come and gone in the world of professional wrestling. And as you had just mentioned, through the power of the internet, we're able to bring this wonderful podcast to you from a couple of Canadians here. But when you're using technology to do this kind of stuff here, Karl, and folks, everybody watching or listening, things can get a little funky sometimes. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, and stuff like this happens. As we were getting ready to go live, my computer decided to do a little update. And then our recording program decided not to pick up my mixer. So this kind of stuff usually happens in high-pressure situations when you go live, or if you're in person. A lot of times these little gremlins like to kind of show up, so to speak, and that's what happened this week. But we're good to go now. And, man, it's been kind of another crazy week in the world of professional wrestling. Lots going on. We're still, the end of COVID-19 still seems far off in the distance, Karl, but... I guess one of the big pieces of headline news, there's a few this week, but I guess the one I would rank right near the top is we're talking Miss Tessa Blanchard. There was some conflicting information about what had happened here with this, but thankfully we have our friend Ryan K. Bowman over at thegorillaposition.com that can give us a little bit of insider information, and she was not fired from Impact Wrestling. Her contract expired. There's a big difference there, Karl.
Yeah, definitely there is. Her contract expired. I guess from things that I've been hearing as well, maybe not necessarily from Ryan, but from a few other sources, she does have a reputation in the back of being almost narcissistic, I guess you could say. And her and the company could not come to an agreement at all on her staying with Impact. So, I mean, what do you have to do? You have to, if she's not going to resign, you have to let her go, and you have to strip her of that title. And that was a pretty big blow.
Now, to be fair as well, I think it'd be a fair statement to make, to be successful in the world of professional wrestling and, most other professions out there, you kind of almost need to have that kind of mindset a little bit. Maybe and narcissist might be a bit of a bit of a stretch, but I mean, you do need to be pretty confident and borderline cocky in yourself if you do want to be successful, especially in a business like professional wrestling. You need to have some confidence, and I mean, obviously she does have that, but as you had mentioned, she does have quite the history with some of the other girls backstage. We've mentioned that before, and news has gone around with there's like Chelsea Green and whatnot that she's a pretty polarizing figure back there. But again, to be successful, you need to be a little bit of a jerk sometimes, I guess, so to speak. But I guess now the debate is, where does she end up? Of course, WWE is the one that's right near the top, right? Now, thing is, at this time, do they want somebody with baggage coming on over onto their roster right now? That's issue, right?
That's exactly my thinking. Like, do they really need that right now? I mean, you have enough female talent on the roster. I understand. Okay, Becky Lynch is gone. She's pregnant. She's gonna be out for a little bit. But I mean, you have a lot of other talent there, and even this isn't something on the run at all. But I just want to say Nikki Cross. While she may be a very stale, let's say, worker, it doesn't really leave much of a taste in your mouth when it comes to her style and work in the ring. She's not very recognizable. She doesn't have really a stay power, anything like that, but they're giving her an opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. I saw somebody had posted online that the kind of the gimmick that she's doing and using right now is like a female Eugene of 2020. Okay.
That's
so that kind of
statement.
gives you a little, if you know who Eugene is, that gives you kind of a little bit of a what's going on there. Right. But I mean, they have the talent. It's not like they're lacking in any female talent. They have the talent there. They don't need to bring in Tessa Blanchard at all.
Yeah, and I mean, WWE isn't the only place where she could go. Obviously, AEW is another one that would be right at the top of most people's list. I like to think outside of that box maybe a little bit. There's other places. WOW, Women of Wrestling. I mean, she has a history there as well. She could definitely go there. Trying to think, Stardom could be another place as well if she wanted to go test the waters over in Japan. So there's lots of places where a top-notch female wrestler could go. Michael Leander in the chat saying, "What's up, pimps?"
That's
right. Not too much there. We're just talking a little Miss Tessa Blanchard. If you guys have some opinions or some questions about her, feel free to ask in that chat.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I wanted to make mention before we get to our next topic here, Karl, one thing I forgot to mention at the top of our show, you might have noticed that our intro sounded a little bit different this week.
That's right.
We finally, to the astute observer out there would notice that we have a very Bullet Club-esque logo for our Turnbuckle Talk logo, and we have finally found, courtesy of Zombie13 on YouTube, that we have a new intro song that actually sounds like the Bullet Club intro theme. So some cool stuff there. I just wanted to make sure and make mention and give credit for.
That's right. You guys that are watching this right now aren't going to get that, unfortunately. But if you go and download our episode on any of the available podcasting places that we talked about at the very beginning, you will definitely be able to hear it. So we got a question here from Mikey. Does AAA have any female performers?
I believe so.
They do.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
There's not a lot, but there are female performers that are there, and I'm glad that he brings up AAA, because I think that AAA would be a fantastic spot for Tessa to go to.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this chip that she has on her shoulder? Going to AAA, that chip will be broken down
for sure
and made into dust. It definitely will be. She will be taken back a couple of notches. And shown that she's a good performer. Don't get me wrong, she definitely is, but she could use a couple of pegs to be dropped down.
For sure. Ring of Honor is another one I forgot to mention. Their Women of Honor division. They could use another hand there as well. Mikey making mention that her fiance Daga lives in Mexico. So that And I believe that's where she currently is at the moment. So I guess AAA would logistically make sense. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where she kind of ends up, and hopefully, she can learn some humbleness, so to speak, because
Let's see.
like you had mentioned, I think she needs to be brought down a few pegs there.
Yeah.
Speaking of some WWE here, Karl. In the past week or so, we've had some people test positive for COVID-19, and I guess most notably would be Renee Young. She was the notable one that has tested positive. We're still dealing with this 3+ months in, Karl.
That's right.
Ugh.
I mean, yeah, most notably, you're looking at Renee Young. I do believe that Charlie Caruso as well, second time contracting the COVID-19, apparently. And who was the third? There was a third one. Mike Pierce.
Yes.
Yeah. So and that's just the ones that we know about. Okay. So I can say that a little bit of insider knowledge here, that there are a lot more cases that just have not been talked about
For sure.
right now. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what happens, and if anything else comes of this, or if any other restrictions come into play when it comes to the WWE going and doing their shows or their programming or anything like that. There has been talk that masks may be very much so required for the talent that's on the outside of the ring, in the stands. So I mean, that's different stuff that they're looking at, but I mean, until we actually see it on live TV, I mean, we're not really going to know, right?
Yeah, and they're obligated with these television networks to put out content as well. So they're in a tough situation where I think even if they wanted to take some more time away, just as a company, to not do shows, I mean, I think their hands are tied at this point, unfortunately, with USA and Fox. I guess most notably, they got to keep cranking out content regardless.
You're right, they do.
So. Yeah, it's kind of that's part of the problem, being the quote unquote top company in the world, that you're with the top television networks. You got to keep going regardless. So, damn it! I wish that there was a way that they could just maybe step away for a little while, maybe just air some specials, do what Ring of Honor is doing, relive some matches and stuff that were actually good. I know I like to keep bringing this up, but have stuff to, where we're not throwing beakers of fake humanly bodily fluids at each other.
Right.
It's just ridiculous stuff, right? So go back and show some good wrestling matches or something. I don't know. It's.
I mean, at least it's not dog food anymore.
It's not dog food anymore, but we've crossed over into the strange with that. But I guess speaking of a little strange, maybe not the greatest segue of all time, but we're talking Chikara. This is one that was a little rough here, Karl. When we do know some people, one of our friends over at the Grill Position involved with this company. I sent you a few days ago, pretty much like the guy running the promotion, Mike Quackenbush, talking about some of the issues. This was this statement, or whatever you want to call it. It hit me pretty hard here, Karl. There was some real emotion. This guy brought a lot of dirty laundry about what's been going on, and
there was
tough,
lots of
man.
emotion coming
tough,
from Quackenbush.
Yeah,
like,
damn, like just it's and they've closed up shop here, Karl. So I mean, damn, like this company's been around for a fair amount of time, and given what he said and everything, I'm just it's hard to kind of see it as almost nothing other than an admission of guilt. I mean, it's for this to happen and then to fold up shop so quickly. I mean, I'm at really a loss for words for this whole situation. I mean, Mike's a hell of a nice guy. I mean, a great worker in the ring. If you haven't seen any Mike Quackenbush matches, I mean, this guy's wrestled the who's who in the business here. Jushin Thunder Liger's just to name one. I mean, this guy is exceptional talent in the ring, and just even when you hear the guy talk, Karl, outside of this statement, I mean, he's a very intellectual person. He comes across very. He makes his point. No wasted words. Damn, this one was. It kind of hit me in the feels, and I really don't have a whole lot of experience with this promotion, but I mean, damn, like this one hurts.
Right? No, it definitely does. I mean, anytime that we see a in our world, in our bubble, we live in a bubble of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And anytime that we see a company, especially something that has done so well as Chikara, to have to close up shop because of whatever, I don't know if this was just preemptive to be able to just calm the waters, I guess maybe.
When you look in the Wikipedia thing, and I know Wikipedia you take with a grain of salt, but I mean they have it listed as that's it, right? The company is closed, so defunct, I guess, is the word that they actually use. So I mean this could be it for Chikara, Karl, and that's a damn shame.
It definitely is. I mean, it's never an easy time, never an easy day when we see a company kind of have to close shop or become defunct. It never is. It's never easy because these are our friends. These are our family members that are, losing a little bit of their life and their livelihood.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like there are a lot of different places that are out there for somebody to go to. There definitely is. But I mean, wow, just everything that's come out. It is available out there on YouTube. It's just simply Statement and then Mike Quackenbush.
It's a little tough to find.
Yeah, it's super easy to find.
Yeah.
I mean, Quackenbush is just as you would figure. Quacken and Bush. Yeah. I mean, easy enough, right? Yeah. So yeah, but definitely go and find it. It sucks. It sucks. But listen to what Mike Quackenbush has to say, and it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it comes across as very genuine and very remorseful, and so many different emotions. I mean, just literal tears. You could see the eyes turning red. I mean, just there was nothing fake, and this was not a wrestling promo. This was just Mike talking to everybody, and I'm at a loss for words. Another situation here, Karl. I'd actually skipped past this here in the run. Just kind of lost my place here, but we have some stuff going on with the NWA as well. Now, the big one, I guess, to mention is essentially the president of NWA. We're talking Dave Lagana has stepped down from that position. This is another with this whole. Oh, I hate to kind of it's like this whole Me Too and this whole all of these insensitivities and stuff going on, and just there's so many people getting exposed and being brought to light, whether they be fully legitimate or not, these situations, and these people just being forced to step down for even possibly sometimes some marginal things. I'm not saying that that's the case with him here, but yeah, the big one, Dave Lagana from NWA, has stepped down. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
heads are rolling all over the place, Karl.
It is, man. Yeah, like absolutely everywhere. This is affecting everyone. It's going absolutely everywhere, which sucks. I mean, it's really unfortunate. I mean, what are we going to do about it? We can't do nothing about it except kind of bring it to you guys and talk to you and have you guys engage with us if you got anything to engage. I mean, definitely, but it's so sad. I mean, just honestly, just a loss for words. That and it's really difficult because if these allegations and all of this is true. I feel for those that had to go through that situation on the bad end of it. Yeah. If it's something that's not true, that something was fabricated, then I feel bad for the other side, right? But right now, I don't know who to feel bad for.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for professional wrestling as a whole.
Yeah.
Whether it's because these people have to step down, or because companies are closing, or because these talents and these trainees and stuff like that had to go through any of that. Okay, I wasn't gonna do this, but
No, go ahead.
I don't want to throw myself into those same categories, but without giving names of anything, I've had my own experience as well.
Sure.
So when I hear these allegations that have been put out there, I feel for them and I feel with them because I've experienced it myself. Training, learning professional wrestling. I was invited to a camp over a weekend to go to somewhere in Michigan. I'm not going to say where, just in the state of Michigan.
Yep.
I went down there. Everyone went to the guy's house, the trainer's house. It was a male. Okay.
Yep.
This person had been part of the NWA, has been, tag team champions with different divisions of the NWA. And there I am, me and she was the girlfriend at the time, the current spouse. We were there, and we were on the pull-out couch. That's where we were sleeping. We both drove down, and it was because she was training a little bit as well.
Yep.
She was a little bit of a valet for a while, so she was trying to learn a little bit of everything as well. So this guy decides that he is going to talk to me while I'm laying down in bed.
Okay.
And gets down really close and is whispering as quietly as I guess he can. And he says to me, he says, "I can take you places in this business, and all you need to do, but wait, I will even give you one of my NWA championships from upstairs," which we all got to see. We all got to see these beautiful, real NWA championship belts that he had.
Yeah.
And he says, "All you have to let me do is give you fellatio."
Wow.
That's the nice way to put it. The spouse heard me, or heard that interaction, and she kicks me. And I was just kind of like, I'm sorry, no, like no, I'm not going to do that. We got up early the next morning. This was the last day that we were there. We got up early that morning and we left before, like, we didn't say goodbye. We didn't say nothing. We just left. So, like I said, I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up, but I kind of want people to know that I'm not just, trying to side with one or the other. I understand both sides, and especially those that are coming out with the allegations. I 100% understand and know where they're coming from. So it's a very difficult situation. It definitely is. And all I can say is that if you do have these allegations, I mean, bring them forward still. I mean, that's about all I can really say. And don't be afraid to. I've held this in, and I've kept that story in for close to 19 years. Yeah. No, I would say not 19. 15 years. Yeah, about 15 years.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It seems longer.
It seems longer.
It seems
sure.
like forever ago. It really does. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on a
that's all right.
like a real downer here, because that's not what we want to do. That's not what we like to do here at Turnbuckle Talk. We like to be upbeat and lively. But last week we didn't talk about any of this, and this week it's just coming out even more. So
for sure, and a little bit more with the NWA as well. We saw, I believe we had mentioned there Ricky Starks leaving the NWA, is actually signed with AEW now. Their television champion, Zicky Dice, not let go. He just flat out quit.
Yes.
So, I mean, and it's a delicate time for this company. They had come back, made some noise, with these YouTube power shows, and then it seemed to kind of wear off a little bit, and then we had the issues with Jim Cornette, and then we have this stuff going on, Dave Lagana. I mean, just like it's, yeah, bit of a scary time for this company too. Hopefully they'll survive it, but I mean, those are some big notable names that we're hearing about shenanigans from, and but the nicest way I can put that aspect of that, just it's yeah, and like you said, just in the world of professional wrestling and just in general, it seems like there's a lot of this stuff coming out now that others have told their stories. So now it's giving people whether it be like just the confidence or the ability to have the strength to mention their stories as well. This isn't something that's just new to current day or for when you were training, Karl. I mean, this is something that goes way back. You can see some instances, with Dark Side of the Ring, with Moolah. I mean, just this is not limited to just our current day. This is something that is not necessarily, it's not something that's unique to professional wrestling. In the entertainment industry, I'll say that it does seem to be pretty rampant, I guess maybe be the word to kind of use. Yeah. It's something it's always kind of been there, but now that there's a spotlight on it, now we're just hearing more about it, given that
That's right.
Now that's kind of in the spotlight. So it's unfortunate to hear all these stories, and I just hope that the business and professional wrestling can survive it, because there are times recently where all this stuff's been happening to where like I almost felt kind of embarrassed to be somebody who considers himself a wrestling fan, and was kind of glad nobody was asking me too many questions about this kind of stuff. But going from that to to some positive, and something that I was asked by somebody, and actually this was a question I was asked by somebody who's somewhat of a casual fan that I know, because this used to be a fairly regular segment that we used to do on this podcast. So I believe that we termed insider knowledge here, Karl. This may seem like a pretty simple one here, but I think it's worthwhile talking about, and it's, why do professional wrestlers grab the ropes when they run the ropes? Why do they grab onto the rope as they're running them? And I figure, who better to explain that than somebody who actually wrestled in the ring here, Karl. Why do wrestlers grab onto the rope when they're running them?
Stability. Honestly, that's the biggest thing. It is to stable yourself. If you're running towards those ropes, and I'm sure everyone has really seen it. You see that they reach their arm back and they grab onto that rope, and then and then they kind of go back into it. It's stability, so that one, you have a good push off that you can give yourself when going off of the ropes, if you're like running the ropes type of thing, right? And so that you don't fall over the ropes. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to go there and then, just loosely hit the ropes, because you're going to go head over heels out onto the floor and crack your head open. It is not going to be fun.
There's some videos out there of this happening.
What was that?
There's some videos out there of this happening, in some smaller promotions. It's happened in WWE as well.
Oh yeah, it has.
And I guess, failing that, I mean, just if the ropes do go, at least you got something to hold on to, I guess, as you're going over.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not even necessarily if the ropes go, because that's very far and few between.
It's rare,
really the ropes go. Very, very rare that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just so that you don't topple over, and it's giving you better stability.
Yeah.
The way that I was really taught is the best way to do it is, as you reach back, your thumb underneath, your hand over top, and your elbow over as well. So your elbow is going to be underneath. So you're going to have like, let me try to position here. Right. So you're going to have the ring rope is here, right? And then you're holding on to it and your elbow comes underneath it. And then you're going to, go back with, with your back. And I mean, just to kind of go along with that as well. So that's more like a running the ropes type of thing. You want to make sure that you're almost like plank, right? So you're very much so your back is straight. Don't put your butt down into the next rope at all. You want to make sure that you're straight. You want to make sure that you're grabbing that rope, that your arm goes underneath it, and then your back is hitting that top rope,
Right.
which gives you again that oomph to be able to push yourself off to continue on. And then from there you're not going to go ass over tea kettle, I'll say it, over that top rope and crack your head open, because I've been there.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
There's lots of videos on YouTube that you can go and watch. There are some from WWE. I think that they're more prone to their rope snapping just because they use actual rope, as opposed to metal cable with rubber hose over top of them. Essentially, is what a lot of promotions use. Yep. But you go on YouTube, you can see guys, bigger guys, a lot of times bigger guys just kind of slipping between the top and the middle rope and just going, like you said, ass over TKL to the outside. Having said all that, Karl, there are some that don't grab the ropes while they're running. I would mention that the majority of them do. There are some that don't. I guess one of the more notable ones, would be Scott Steiner. He doesn't really grab the ropes when he runs. He just kind of eases into them. Some smaller Japanese women wrestlers don't really grab the rope just because of their size. They just can't lift their arms up that high to reach that top rope. So they're just kind of, just like almost kind of reclining into it and then kind of bouncing off. But I mean, for the majority of professional wrestlers out there, you want to grab that top rope, like you said, just to make it so that you have some stability there to keep going in the other direction.
But what you'll notice with a lot of them as well, a lot of the smaller Japanese women that are wrestling, and even like Rey Mysterio, they hook their arms underneath it, so their armpits are going down into the ropes, right, and then their arms are kind of underneath. So it's that's where they're getting their stability from, as opposed to grabbing it and then having your arm underneath it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're doing it their way, because most of the time they're like hitting the middle rope as opposed to the top rope.
That's right.
So hitting the middle rope is a little bit different. It definitely would be. So yeah. I mean, that's that. Cool. Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, nice little bit of insider information for our listeners there. All right, Karl, before we do our Showstopper segment, let's do our Match of the Week segment here. I think that you went first last week, so I guess I'll give my pick first this week.
Sure.
Mine is coming from Ring of Honor from 2008. We're going way back on this one, and this one is a little significant because this was part of what was called the Northern Navigation Tour. This was actually Ring of Honor's debut in Canada, and this was a match between Kevin Steen and Nigel McGuinness for the ROH World Championship. This is a fairly lengthy match. We're talking just over 34 minutes, but I mean, damn, like especially if you're somebody who watches NXT and wanted to kind of see what Kevin Owens was like as Kevin Steen, the Kevin Steen version in Ring of Honor is probably my favorite version of that character. And Nigel McGuinness, who is one of the commentators in NXT, if you wanted to see what he is like in the ring, he is fantastic. When he was an active professional wrestler, he was damn good, Karl. These two guys knocked it out of the park in this match. And they did plenty of stuff in Ring of Honor and all over the place. Just do yourself a favor and go and watch this match. It was fantastic. You get to see, I think, probably the best version of Kevin Owens as Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. I think that's where he was at his best. So there you go.
My pick this week is coming from Ring of Honor as well. Mine actually comes from Ring of Honor TV that happened this week. I usually try to take my picks from what's been shown on television for people to see. This week, the Ring of Honor is still doing their retrospectives with specific stars. This week was actually Kenny King. And the match happening with Kenny King versus Kushida.
Nice one.
Wow. Just, I'm still blown away by that matchup. It's always been fantastic to see Kenny King. He's a really good worker, very underrated, I do believe. And Kushida, I mean, Kushida just blows
Wow.
my mind every time I see him. Unfortunately, not so much with NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's able to go out there and do what he wants, I'm cool with it. I'm very happy with it. And yeah, so that's my pick for this week was Kenny King versus Kushida. That was actually one of Kenny King's favorite matches. That's why it was showcased.
Nice. Yeah, good choice. You had mentioned Kushida. Huge ball drop in NXT there. I mean, they could have done a tremendous amount with him. I'm hoping that he's somebody that does his time there and will venture back over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, where I think, frankly, he belongs in their junior heavyweight division. Go over there, work with Hiromu and those guys, and could have some top-notch matches over there. I didn't like the initial move, and I just think that North America just isn't the right place for Kushida, unfortunately.
Definitely not. And during that matchup, Kushida had the New Japan Pro Junior Heavyweight Championship. He was the champ, as well as he was the ROH Television Champion.
Wow, nice.
So it was like, cool, fantastic. So yeah, I mean, the guy clearly can work because these companies are, he's been the champ in several different companies, and even then holding 2 championships simultaneously: the New Japan Pro Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Championship and the Ring of Honor Television Championship.
Yeah. All right, Karl, just briefly, a little bit of breaking news before we do take our break and do our Showstopper segment here. It looks as though Anderson and Gallows, the guys from the club, or whatever you want to call them in WWE, and they're part of the original Bullet Club. I'm seeing in several places that it looks like it's just a formality that they have signed with Impact. This one really has me scratching my head, Karl. I have no earthly idea why these guys want to go to this promotion. I don't get it.
I really don't either. I mean, it
nothing
could
against
just
Impact.
Be that it's
nothing against Impact, honestly.
No,
but I mean, what the hell are these guys doing going over there? I don't get it.
I think it's probably going to be more of like a schedule thing.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be able to work a limited schedule and be able to do what they want. They're probably going to come in and honestly be given whatever they want. If they want championship matches, they're going to get them. If they want championships, they're going to get them. I don't see any reason for anything else. I mean, Joe's kind of doing, this,
are they
going
to be able to pay these guys?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, they've worked for the WWE. They've been able to put money away. They've worked for New Japan. They've worked for all these other companies. I'm sure that they have a small little nest egg available to them after working all of these ridiculous amounts of hours and days with these companies, that maybe they're like, we'll take a little bit of a pay cut if we can just kind of be a little eased, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what I'm thinking anyways. I'm thinking that it's just because it's a little bit of an easier schedule for them, that's why Anderson and Gallows are going to probably go to Impact Wrestling.
Yeah. See, my pick for my destination, if they wanted to stay over in North America, would have been Ring of Honor, because then that opens the door to NWA if they want to go there as well, and back over to where I think that they really, really shine the best, and that's over in New Japan. So that's why I thought Ring of Honor would be, they could use another tag team there, quite frankly. And I just, when I saw the Impact stuff, I was like, really? Oh, okay.
Right?
Whatever floats your boat, but not where I would have chosen. WWE, just briefly, looks like that I've really been wondering about this. They haven't really said much of anything about it. The 2020 Hall of Fame looks like it may happen at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, just it's very low key. Very low key. Yeah.
It definitely is. Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much more on it either. It's very kind of hush hush right now, which is odd.
Yeah, and I'm not talking the wrestler low key. I mean literally low key.
Yes.
We didn't do it at WrestleMania, and it was like this type of thing. We'll just ignore it and pretend like it doesn't exist for the time being. Weird. I figured, I thought maybe they would have done it as a network special or something like that, but who knows what they're going to do.
That's right.
We'll just have to wait and see. All right, Karl, I guess we'll take a brief break here. We're going to come back with our Showstopper segment. This is a bit of a fun one. And again, this was an idea that kind of stemmed from one of our viewers/listeners of who we would bring back to professional wrestling, whether be retired or whether they have passed away, and who would we bring back and where would we utilize them. We're going to have some fun with this one, I think, so we'll be right back, guys.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand. Wrestling.
Wrestling.
What does wrestling mean to me?
It's something I always wanted. Always.
What wrestling means to me is an escape.
What does professional wrestling mean to me? It means life.
All my life, I've been hearing impaired. I've been struggling with my voice and my hearing. Wrestling means so much to me because when I'm in the ring, I'm not that girl who can't hear. I'm not that girl who speaks a little differently.
You know, I guess what wrestling really means to me is freedom.
Growing up, I always wanted to be more like the other girls, a bit smaller, a bit more petite. I didn't feel like I fitted in until I found pro wrestling, and then suddenly there was somewhere that I did fit in.
What does pro wrestling mean to me? It means family.
Professional wrestling to me means strength, not just physical strength, but emotional and mental strength. Having the strength to go out there and show the world who you are.
In the real world, you know, I have to hide, I have to fake, I have to put on a mask. But in wrestling, I can be strong or I can be weak.
Wrestling to me means life. It's my life. It's everything I know. It's everything I do. I wake up and go to sleep and I breathe wrestling. I am wrestling.
Believe. That's what wrestling means to me.
Discipline, sacrifice, and devotion.
Wrestling was always my dream since I was little, and you know, I come from a little country in Italy, a very small town, and nobody believed that I was able to leave Italy and come in America and train hard to be a professional wrestler, but that was I did.
So what wrestling means to me is passion.
And wrestling truly to me means empowerment and fun, because I don't have a better time than when I'm in that ring.
Professional wrestling has brought me so much joy. I just can't even put it into words sometimes.
Wrestling to me is the biggest constant in my life. Everything I do revolves around it. My diet, my training, in the gym, in the ring, whatever have you.
Wrestling means to me is that it's something that you can express yourself with without any judgment.
For me, I want women's wrestling to not be women's wrestling. I want it to be wrestling.
It's shown me strength and courage and power and to be completely untouchable.
Plain and simple, what professional wrestling means to me is everything. I wouldn't give up what I do on a nightly basis for anything else in this world.
Wrestling is freedom, and I am born free.
Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
All right, guys, Big Joe and Karl Karufel back here on Turnbuckle Talk. Karl giving me a nice little surprise there with our old school collar and elbow ads there. I was originally going to insert what I would usually do for our break, but I just kept rolling with that. I haven't heard those in quite a while. We even get to see our friend Jazzy talking there as well, and just you get to see just the passion that people do have for professional wrestling there inside the business, and the whole concept of collar and elbow, bringing that all together. Just fantastic stuff, man. That's about all I can say about that.
Yeah, and I mean, just so that everybody knows, that is something that was done back in 2017.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a few years old now, but still going strong. Collar and elbow brand, as you see down below right now, scrolling across there. You can use our promo code JK Podcast at the checkout, and you're going to get 10% off your entire order when you go to collarandelbowbrand.com.
Awesome. All right, Karl, let's do our Showstopper segment here. And as I had mentioned before our break here, a bit of a fun one I think we can do here. It's who would you bring back to professional wrestling, whether they be retired, whether they are no longer on this planet with us, and where in what situation or promotion we would we use them in. I have a few picks here that are my own and some other people's as well, but I'll let you kind of pick one first. That who you would bring back and where would you utilize them?
Andre the Giant would definitely be one.
Where would you put
and I would say NWA.
Interesting.
Yeah, just very much so. Andre the Giant has always been just that that show, that commodity that's there. And yeah, like I mean, I think he would do wonders in NWA, and especially for the NWA brand as we know it.
Interesting you mentioned the NWA one, because my the first one that I'm going to mention here is actually coming from the person that inspired this idea for the Showstopper segment, and this person I think totally embodies what this whole topic is about. We're talking Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Okay,
right? I think that the perfect choice, and they hit the nail right on the head with this. And the NWA / Ring of Honor / New Japan is where I would utilize him. If you really wanted to, as crazy as it may sound, you could probably do it right now if you wanted to with this guy.
Right?
I mean, he's
true,
right? He came back not too long ago, and I believe it was with Chris Jericho, if I'm not mistaken, and he held his own in there with Chris Jericho.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So I mean, and this is a guy that just he was just one of the best out there, and that's what I would personally do. Somebody that else that I would bring back, and I think you would be pleasantly surprised with this, would be Bam Bam Bigelow.
Oh yeah,
right. And you could literally put him anywhere. I would say something outside of WWE. I think that he was somebody that would be really interesting in the New Japan context. This is something different,
which he's not unfamiliar with,
right? And he's the type of personality and presence too that does really well over in New Japan. Some of these bigger guys that come over from North America tend to really get over with that Japanese audience because it is something different, and then they tend to get kind of behind that alongside their homegrown talent, which they obviously are big on board with as well. Who else do you have as somebody that you think you would bring back? You can think off the top of your head.
I'm going with a lot of people that are like have passed on here, but recently we just kind of celebrated the anniversary of the passing of Matt Osborne, Doink the Clown. With some of the characters that we've got out there right now, like you're looking at like Zicky Dice, right? Then you're looking like Orange Cassidy. You know, some of these characters that are out there in professional wrestling right now, to have somebody like a Doink the Clown be able to come in. And again, this one I think would probably be a good NWA fit. NWA, not that it always has been, but it seems to be a little bit more synonymous with, you know, characters per se.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I mean, especially nowadays, where you've got like the question mark and you know, different stuff like that, right? And then even Aaron Stevens right now, kind of that whole little gimmick that he's got going on with the karate. I hope I said that right, Aaron. I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But yeah, so I mean, that's for me, Doink the Clown. I think on a female side of things, though, if I can go there for a moment, Sherry Martel. I would love in both capacities, looking, working professional wrestling as well as managerial. I think Sherry Martel, somebody coming back, would just be fantastic. It would blow my mind. Yeah. Before you do another pick here, Joe, I just have to mention, as we kind of said at the beginning here, and if you take a look down below there again, scrolling across, it says "To hell in a handbasket." I don't know if you people can see the video behind me. Yeah, my room seems to have like shifted here a little bit. I'm gonna fix this just for a second here, and it's gonna be a quick, simple fix.
They were literally peeling back the curtain, I guess, so to speak.
My green screen like just imploded. Okay. Are you kidding me right now? It imploded behind me. Oh, that's just something else I'm going to have to fix up. But I digress. Big Joe, do you have any other picks that you would bring back?
I do have some, and I give you props because I think that for the first time we actually named our episode on the fly. So that's my co-host thinking on the ball there. So that was pretty cool. And that's more than likely that's what the name of our episode will be. And that'll, I guess, forever be kind of an inside joke for those who may not get it. But yeah, some other names that I want to mention. Another big standout for me would be Brian Pillman.
Oh, yes.
And where I would use him, I would bring him into AEW, and I would have him managing Mr. Jon Moxley, because he needs, because he's trying to be that kind of character, but I think he needs somebody who can actually do it kind of properly to kind of really give him some gumption there, because I feel that it would be sorely needed, because, I mean, it's been a pretty stale championship reign for him. He's the kind of guy, very much like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, where the money and the real best parts of that come when you're chasing the title. And when you get to that top of that mountain, it can feel kind of stale, because he's the kind of guy that I think thrives on the chase. But then once you get it, it's like, okay, you're just kind of just hanging kind of in limbo there. So he's a guy that I think that could use that kind of counterpart with him to kind of give it a little bit more energy. And who better than somebody with that similar kind of mindset than a Brian Pillman? Obviously not something that can happen because Brian's no longer with us, unfortunately. And as I had mentioned before, he was, when they did the Brian Pillman Memorial, that was a pretty significant moment in the world of professional wrestling, because guys were coming from all over and all different promotions, including the WWE, to be a part of this. And that was, as far as I know, the first and only time that something like that has ever happened. So he was a very important person in wrestling. My personal pick, though, Karl, for this would be this person is not deceased, but he is, I guess you could say, semi-retired. And I am talking about the Great Muta, who did appear at the ROH, or the G1 Supercard at Madison Square Garden, the show with Ring of Honor New Japan, which I've talked about several times in the show. It's available for you on YouTube. Go and watch it if you haven't already. I would bring him back to have either one match or a series of matches with The Undertaker in his prime.
That would be fantastic.
Right?
It definitely would be.
Not now.
No.
But with The Undertaker in his prime. That I think that would be absolutely fantastic, especially given that Muta is one of these guys that, especially in his prime, created a lot of movement. And Undertaker really does well in matches with guys who create a lot of movement. And it would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, there's a whole bunch that I can name here as well. I mean, Haku is another one. Another one of these guys that kind of briefly appeared at that same show that I had just mentioned. He's somebody that you could make use of probably in more like a managerial type of role. Especially with the Grills of Destiny. I think they should utilize him more when it comes to those guys. If you want to go with kind of bringing back old style gimmicks. George Animal Steel.
Oh, yeah.
Have him chewing up turnbuckles if you in the NWA or something if you wanted to. I mean,
another cool gimmicky one. Yeah.
Right. So, and that inside of itself is something that seems to. And we can thank the NWA for kind of bringing back the kind of the wacky gimmicks and at least trying to make them fun again. They might not always be successful, but I mean that was always one of the big fun parts of wrestling, where were some of these gimmicks that good or bad, they were always they're entertaining and they're fun to watch. Kind of looking back in retrospect as well. Even some of these really goofy WWE ones like the Goon and these ones that they put a smile on your face when you go back and watch them, even if they weren't really all that successful.
Right. I think if I can add one more name to that list, it's a name that people really aren't going to expect coming out of my mouth. I think right now, for absolutely right now, we could use a John Cena.
Yeah.
The guy has so much energy. He is so over with the kids. The kids love him. There are adults that love him. The women love him. I mean, if we could get John Cena to come back and do even just a 4-month stint of something, right? And I mean, this could really be used for any promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Any promotion. It doesn't matter. Yep. I think that somebody with the exuberance of a John Cena would be a good thing.
That brings up an interesting question, and for anybody watching our live stream here, feel free to weigh in on this topic as well. Is there any chance in hell, Karl, that John Cena ever wrestles for another promotion outside of WWE?
No chance. I honestly, no chance. I could never see it.
Yeah, I would like to see something like maybe in a New Japan and a Wrestle Kingdom type of thing. I think that would be really interesting to see him in that atmosphere.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, he's definitely one of those guys that will probably likely never. I mean, other than if you want to consider, I mean, technically he did wrestle outside of WWE with the OVW and whatnot, but that was their development territory. So he's really pretty much been inside the WWE system. And I mean, very unlikely, but I would definitely be game for it, especially if it was New Japan.
That's right.
Especially you could have some interesting, especially if you could do like Cena versus Tanahashi, if you want to go against the Ace, because they largely kind of consider him the John Cena of New Japan. That would be a really interesting matchup, Karl, and you could have some fun there because they're essentially the same person.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you definitely could. Definitely.
Oh, man. All right, man. Is there, before we wrap up for this week, anything else that you want to cover before we
definitely there is. I want to cover two quick things here.
Right.
Actually, first we need to thank our friends over at thegorillaposition.com, our friends with the Roar Network, our people over at the HTM Podcast Network, and our new friends over at indiepw.com. Thank you to them. They do so much for us, and we're so thankful for them and everything that they've done. And our two sponsors that we have, collarandelbowbrand.com. Use promo code JK Podcast at the checkout. You're going to get 10% off your entire order. If you didn't see it, go back and watch our break that happened. You will see some amazing stuff from collarandelbowbrand.com. Again, promo code JK Podcast gets you 10% off your entire order. Just so that you know as well, our friends over at Phoenix Fit, that's fnxfit.com. They are going to give you 15% off your entire order when you use promo code TBTalkPod. So go and check them out as well, phoenixfit.com. Use promo code TBTalkPod, 15% off your order. Just as a reminder, every purchase that you guys do make, whether it's at collarandelbowbrand.com or at phoenixfit.com, does help support this podcast and video streaming. So if you do want to help support us, that's going to be the easiest way. You can get yourself some great gear. You can get yourself some amazing supplements and help support us as well. So go ahead, go and order. We would love that you do.
Absolutely, Karl. All right, I guess that's a good way to wrap things up, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Have a nice day.
It's me. It's an Armin B2B. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all our other shows we have. You can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.